guys, welcome back. I know I say this every single month, but how is it June? This year is seriously flying by. The fact that we're halfway through it blows my mind. I also can't believe that I've gone the first 6 months of this year without pulling a single prompt for my TBR jar. I've kind of just been reading based on my mood and just picking up the books that I feel like reading, which has been nice. But as you can see, I have so many books that I need to get through. I have this entire cart full, and then I also have all of the hardcovers back there. So I have a lot of reading to do, and unfortunately, I am a very indecisive person. So I feel like I need some direction. I need some help. I've refreshed my TBR jar and added a ton of new prompts in it. So I'm very excited. I've really been looking forward to sitting down and picking out my books for June. I feel like I've been reading a lot of different genres. There's not any one specific one that I've been reading a ton of. I've kind of just been reading a little bit of everything, which I feel like will come in handy because no matter what we get in here, there should be a book that I'm in the mood for. I will say though, because it's summer, I tend to read a little bit more romance. So hopefully we can get at least one romance. I think I'm gonna pull about 6 prompts. That feels like a pretty reasonable number for me personally. We're just gonna get straight into it. Okay, the first prompt is going to be lowest rated. Oh no. Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out which one on my shelf is the lowest rated. And I guess I'm gonna be reading that this month. I'm pretty sure I know which one is the least rated just because I kind of keep a list going of the ratings. So I'm pretty sure I know, but I'm gonna double check and grab the lowest rated book. Okay, based on Goodreads, my lowest rated book on my shelf is The Good Ones by Polly Stewart. It has a rating of 3.17 stars, so that's the lowest rated. I really don't know much about this book. I actually got this one for free when I went to a library convention last year, almost a year ago. I've had this for about a year. I really don't know much about it. I'm also gonna try to go in with an open mind and not judge it based on the fact that it is my lowest rated book. I do prefer going in blind with books, so I don't think I'm gonna try to look up much about this. I obviously know what it's rated, but other than that, I want to go in blind. You know what? I might end up loving this. I'm not gonna base it just on ratings because that's very subjective, and maybe I'll end up loving it. The first book on my June TBR is going to be The Good Ones by Polly Stewart. One of the blurbs at the top says it's a classic Southern Gothic tale. Don't think I've ever read something like that before. So we're gonna see what I think of this one. All right, and time for the second prompt. Right, we have a book you know nothing about. Well, The Good Ones would have been a good one for that because I really know nothing about that book. But I feel like there are a few other options that I could pick for this one. What are books that I know nothing about? Okay, I definitely don't know anything about this one. This is Trust by Hernan Diaz. I know absolutely nothing about this. I just kept seeing the cover of this one and I thought it looked really cool. I'm not even sure what genre it is. I don't know if it's like sci-fi or historical fiction or fantasy. So Trust is definitely an option. I also don't know really anything about Theo of Golden. I just know that it was really popular, or it is kind of popular. I think it came out somewhat recently. I picked this one up in California, and when I bought this book, I did read the back of it, but I feel like even with having read the back of it, I don't really have a single clue what this book is about. All I gather is that it takes place in a small town, like a small southern town. So I really have no idea what the genre is, what the plot is, anything about Theo of Golden. I also really don't have a clue what Babel is about. I just know that a lot of people rated it highly. I have heard a lot about this author, but I don't know really any specifics about this book. I kind of know historically a little bit about Babel, but I don't know if this book is tied in at all to the history of it. I mean, I would assume it's at least somewhat. I think this is dark academia. It might be fantasy. I really have no clue. But this is one of the books that I put on my TBR to read this year. Maybe it is time to get around to this one. I also have a library book that I borrowed. This is Loved One. I really love the cover of this one, and that's pretty much why I decided to borrow it. I also heard a couple of people recommend this, but I really have no idea what this book is about. I'm guessing from the title that it maybe includes romance. I love this cover though. It's so stunning. Probably should go with this one given that it's a library book and I'm gonna have to return it because I'm just borrowing it. I think between all of these, I'm actually leaning towards Loved One. And I don't know that this is necessarily romance. Maybe it's literary fiction with a little bit of romance, or maybe it's completely something else. But I think I'm gonna go with Loved One by Aisha. I'm not even gonna try to say that last name because I'm gonna butcher it. So sorry, but I'm gonna go with Loved One as the second book on my June TBR. All right, time for the third prompt. How are we already halfway through this? That is crazy. It goes way too fast. Third prompt is new release. Okay, I love that one. I feel like there are quite a few new releases that I've had my eye on. I'm pretty sure this is a new release, but I could be wrong. This is Into the Blue by Emma Brody. It is so beautiful. Blue is my favorite color, so the fact that the title and the color scheme of this is blue, chef's kiss. It also has a blurb by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Love every single book I've ever read by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So if I wasn't sold by by the cover. I was definitely sold by that. This one does say it's a love story, so we have a little bit more romance. Not mad about that at all. This one honestly could have worked for the last prompt too, because I don't really know much about this book. I do know obviously that it's a love story, and I think it takes place in the 2000s. So I could do Into the Blue, but I also know that I have on my Kindle a few different new releases that I've been wanting to read. One of them being Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It. I got a digital arc of it, but I'm pretty sure it's already released at this point. At least it should be, I think. So I could definitely read that one. But I also have another very highly anticipated book for myself, and that is The Burning Side by Sarah DeMoff. I read The Bright Years last year and was obsessed with that book. Like, I still think about that book to this day. Absolutely loved The Bright Years. If The Burning Side is anything like that one, I'm probably gonna love it. So I could read that one too. See, this is the problem with being indecisive, is I want to read every single one of these, and I will at some point, but I can only pick one. I think I'm between Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It or Into the Blue, and I kind of feel like I should prioritize my physical books over Kindle books, but I do really want to read Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It. Ugh, this is hard. You know what? I cannot decide. Okay, because I'm so indecisive, I think I'm gonna pull up a spinner wheel, and whichever color it lands on, if it's pink, it's gonna be Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It, and if it's blue, I'll do Into the Blue. So let's see. Okay, I have my spinner wheel. So if it's blue, it's obviously Into the Blue, and then pink is gonna be Phoebe Berman. And let's spin it. What is it? Okay, Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It. All right, you know what? I'm not mad about that. I would have been fine either way. I do want to get around to this one soon, but I guess it's not going to be in June, which means that the third book on my TBR for this month is going to be Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose That. Nope, Gonna Lose It. Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It is gonna be the third book. I'm actually pretty stoked about that. I've really been wanting to read this book, and I think the main character struggles with anxiety, and as an anxious girl myself, I feel like I'm gonna relate. So Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It is the third book on my TBR. All right, time for the fourth prompt. Which color have I not picked already? I haven't picked pink, so maybe I'll do a pink one. Okay, the fourth prompt is gonna be female protagonist. That is gonna be so easy because I feel like most of my books have female protagonists. Okay, what am I in the mood for? I mean, I feel like I could read a fantasy. I haven't read a ton so far this year, but I'm kind of in the mood for one. I could do An Ember in the Ashes. I'm pretty sure this has a main character that's a female. Leia or Elia? I'm not sure how you say her name. I've had this on my radar to read for so long. I love the cover of this one. The only thing is, do I want to start another fantasy series? Because I feel like I'm in the middle of quite a few right now. What's another one that has a main female character? This one, Apprentice to the Villain. This is the second one that I need to read in the Assistant to the Villain series. The main character in this one is Evie, and I really liked the first one, so I'm excited to get around to the second one. Could do Apprentice to the Villain and continue the series. I also am in the middle of the Throne of Glass series. I started this series fall of 2024, so it's taken me a while. I haven't been reading consistently because the last time I picked this one up was January of last year. So it's been about a year and a half since I picked up the series, and there's no reason for that other than I got distracted with other books. And then the longer I left it, the more intimidated I was to get back to Throne of Glass. So I actually have started this one, and I got about 30% of the way through, I think. I got to page 194. I got pretty far into this, but I think I want to start over again because I just want to be very focused and in it, and I don't want to miss any little detail because I love the Throne of Glass series. I obviously haven't finished it yet. Just what I've read so far, it's become one of my favorite series, and I have kept putting this series off like every single month. I'm like, I should get back to Throne of Glass, and then I don't. So you know what? Maybe it is time to get back to Throne of Glass. I also have a bookmark in here that I have to show you. My best friend got me this bookmark, and it is Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm also just now realizing that all of the books that I picked are red, so it's gonna be a red one either way. As much as I do want to read this series, I don't think I'm gonna start another fantasy series right now when I'm in the middle of other ones. So I'm between Queen of Shadows or Apprentice to the Villain. I just feel like it is time for me to read Throne of Glass again. I'm in the mood, and I feel like I should take advantage of being in the mood for it. I'm gonna do Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. I think this is the fifth one that I'm reading in this series. I started with Assassin's Blade. I highly recommend starting with Assassin's Blade. I know some people do it a different order, and you can do it whatever you prefer, but my preference is to start with Assassin's Blade and then go into Throne of Glass and read them. So I want to say in that order, this is the fifth book that I'll be reading in the Throne of Glass series, which is insane. And I think after this one, I will officially be halfway through the series. Crazy. I also don't know if you can see, but I have Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn already on my shelf to read whenever I finish this one. That one is the tandem read, so I'm a little bit intimidated after I finish this one to do the tandem read. So I think the fourth book on my TBR for June is going to be Queen of Shadows. Very excited to get back to Throne of Glass. All right, time for the fifth prompt. Maybe I should do a green one. I don't think I've done a green one yet. Multiple authors. Interesting. Okay, I don't think I have a ton of options for that. So let me see if I have any that are multiple authors. Okay, I want to say Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren is by 2 authors because I think Christina Lauren is 2 different people. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I'm mixing that up with another one. I think it's Christina Lauren. I did recently read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren and I really enjoyed that one. And I have been wanting to get around to Love and Other Words. The only thing is this feels more like a fall winter book for me. I don't know, just based on the cover there's like wintry trees and things, so I don't know, maybe I want to save this one. I'm trying to get away from being a seasonal reader and just reading books whenever. I kind of want to wait on this one, but maybe I can't because maybe that's the only option with 2 authors. You know what, I might need to look this up and just see if there are any. Okay, I am right about Christina Lauren. Also, I'm losing my voice, so why is that happening? Okay, I'm not seeing a ton of other books by 2 authors that I have, but actually I do think I have another Christina Lauren book on my Kindle that I've been wanting to read. I think it's sort of a new release. I do have The Romance Revival on my Kindle, and that one does seem more like spring, summer. So unless I missed one on my shelf, I think I'm gonna go with The Romance Revival by Christina Lauren. I'm actually not sure when Romance Revival comes out. I think the one that I have is a digital arc, but let me double check. Okay, The Romance Revival isn't gonna be published until July, so it's not quite out yet, but almost. But I honestly am just way more in the mood for The Romance Revival than I am Love and Other Words. I really enjoyed reading The Paradise Problem, so I'm hoping I will feel the same way about The Romance Revival. That's gonna be the 5th book on my TBR for June. Alright, which means it is unfortunately time to pull the last prompt. Alright, the final prompt. Pink cover. Okay, I do have quite a few options for that. Is this one pink? I mean, it's kind of pink. It's more, I would say this is more of a light purple, but it has pink on it. So this one is obviously Flawless by Elsie Silver. I have not read an Elsie Silver book yet, but I do have this one, and then I also have Wild Love, which coincidentally is also a pink cover. This one is part of the Chestnut Spring series, which I've heard a lot about, but again, have not started it. And then this one is the more recent series of hers, the Rose Hill series. These are the first books in their respective series. Both of these are an option, but I also have a few other pink ones. I have The Most Famous Girl in the World by Iman. Again, I'm not gonna try the last name, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna butcher it. I have not heard anybody talk about this. I have not looked at ratings. I do know a little bit of what it's about just because I read the back, but I ended up thrifting this one because the cover and the title just seemed really interesting. I think this one is about a journalist who reported on the crimes of a very famous socialite, and because of that is sent her to jail, and then I think the book starts with that socialite getting out of jail. It says, a gripping satire of our society's obsession with fame, which just seemed really interesting to me, and I also just love the cover of this. It's so cute. I also have Just Friends. I wouldn't say this is a super pink book, but it does have pink on it. This is by Haley Pham. You've probably heard of it. This book is published by the YouTuber Haley Pham, and I know there's been a lot of conversation and a lot of debate over this book, which is why I wanted to pick it up and see what I thought. But I do just want to throw it out there that I think it is such an accomplishment to publish a book. Like, the hard work and dedication and just the effort that goes into getting a book published and just writing a story is just so cool to me. So congrats to her for even publishing a book. I think that's amazing. And I do want to give this one a try. It could be good for summer. I think this one also does kind of lean a little bit more YA as well, which I don't usually go for that, but I might enjoy it in this one. You never know. And then another pink one I have, well, this one, I don't really know if this one counts because it does have pink on it, especially on the pages, but it's not necessarily a pink cover. So I don't think that this one necessarily counts. I also do have The Tenant by Frida McFadden, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm really not in the mood for this, but I do want to give more Frida McFadden books a chance. I also feel like they're just good palette cleansers when you're just wanting like a quick, fast-paced book to read in between other ones. So I will get around to this one eventually, but I'm just not in the mood for this one. I don't know. Does this one have enough pink in it to be considered a pink cover? I don't know. I feel like that's maybe debatable. I don't know. I don't know if this is pink enough. I feel like I'm cheating a little bit if I do pick Just Friends because it's like the least pink book of all of these. But I mean, even like the writing down here is pink, the swimsuit's pink. You know what? I'm just gonna make the executive decision to do Just Friends. I don't care if it's not pink enough. It's pink enough for me. So I'm going to go with the very highly anticipated, highly debated, highly talked about book, Just Friends by Haley Pham. I know that there's been a lot of conversation about this book, but I haven't looked into it very much and I haven't watched videos, especially like critiques of it. So I am going in with a pretty open mind about this. I don't know a ton about it, and I also don't know a ton about Haley Pham. I have seen a few of her videos, but I do know she's a very popular booktuber. I'm excited to read Just Friends by Haley Pham. Even though it's not the most pink book in the world, it still counts. Another book that I am going to be reading in June is Red Rising, because me and my sister have our own little mini book club, and Red Rising is the book for June. So this will also be added to my TBR. All right, let me quickly go through the books that were chosen. We have The Good Ones, Loved One, Queen of Shadows, Just Friends, Red Rising, and last but not least, we have the Kindle books Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It and The Romance Revival. This was so fun to do. I'm glad that I've finally brought it back. I feel like it's so helpful for an indecisive person like myself. Hopefully it will help me get through all of the books that I have. I'm really excited about the books that were picked this month. I feel like we have a good mix of different genres. We've got sci-fi, romance, mystery, fantasy, possibly literary fiction, not sure yet. Thank you guys for coming along with me while I pick my books for this month. I definitely want to be keeping this up and doing it every single month, so stay tuned for that. Also, let me know what books you're going to be reading this month. I love seeing what other people are reading and getting ideas. Not that I need any more ideas. I have way too many books as it is, but still. Thanks again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.